Last year's UIL by-district championship was a harsh one for the city of El Paso. Out of the over 10 teams that competed in the round, only one team advanced to an area championship. Those were the Del Valle Conquistadores. But this year, the story is different. Because to partially quote LeBron James, not one, not two, but three El Paso teams are headed to the area championship. That last part of the quote I had to manipulate just a little bit. Welcome to the Postgame Pulse on the El Paso Sports Network. I'm Sebastian Perez-Navarro, and we're keeping the heartbeat of Texas high school football alive. A very good morning to you, and thank you for waking up early and tuning in to the El Paso Sports Network. Before we get into the high school football action, however, let's focus on the professional field for a second. Because Burgess and UTEP alumni Aaron Jones is up for the Salute to Service Award. The Salute to Service Award is awarded to an NFL player who does charitable actions around his community. Aaron Jones does just that. Some of it involves the El Paso Sports Network. We can show our appreciation to him by voting for him from now up until every single day until November 30th for the Salute to Service Award. Simply head to NFL.com/fan vote in order to vote for Aaron Jones. You can vote every day until November 30th. Aaron Jones's mother, Burgess Jones, is an Army veteran of 27 years. She retired as a sergeant major, the highest rank you can achieve in the United States Army. In last week's game against the Baltimore Ravens, Burgess Jones surprised Aaron at US Bank Stadium because it was the Vikings Salute to Service game. We can show our respect to him and his mother by voting for him for the Salute to Service Award. Let's shift back to high school playoff action because the playoffs were rolling yesterday and we had a variety of close games starting in 6A with the Pebble Hills Spartans taking on the San Angelo Bobcats. The Pebble Hills Spartans last year lost a tight game against the Franklin Cougars last week, 28-15. That game was for second place in District 6A in El Paso, Texas, meaning that Franklin got to play against Midland Legacy, and the Pebble Hills Spartans had to deal with the San Angelo Bobcats. It's the first time that San Angelo was back in the playoffs since 2022. That was a by-district loss by 2 scores against the Eastwood Troopers at Trooper Stadium. But the San Angelo Bobcats have their momentum back, achieving their first playoff victory against the Pebble Hills Spartans, the first time they win a playoff game since 2020, beating Pebble Hills by a score of 24-14. But San Angelo was in control all throughout the matchup. They led 7-0 at halftime. They extended that lead 10-0 in the third quarter, and then junior quarterback Micah Smith connects with senior wide receiver Jimmy Edwards from 70 yards out to make the score 17-7 with 1 minute remaining in the third quarter. Joe Fernandez scored his first touchdown in the third quarter to make it 10-7 before the Bobcats score, and then scored a 40-yard passing touchdown with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter to make it 24-14. But San Angelo is the one who advances to the area championship. They have a tough opponent, however, facing the number 1 ranked in Texas South Lake Carroll Dragons, who went 11-0 on the regular season, 8-0 in district play. They beat their by-district opponent Crowley 35-0. Meanwhile, for the Pebble Hills Spartans, they went out earlier than they would have liked, but this season showed sparks for Pebble Hills. Junior quarterback Joe Fernandez threw for 1,892 passing yards and 23 touchdowns, throwing for 800 more passing yards than his first season as varsity starter. 9 more touchdown passes. They also saw the addition of freshman Noah Tarrant, who had 484 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns in the regular season. The 6'4" tight end already has 10 Division I offers from schools like TCU, LSU, SMU, UTEP, Texas Tech, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Clemson. The majority of those teams that I just named off are Power 4 opponents. Pebble Hills looks to build up a 7-3 regular season, 4-2 in district play. Let's shift over gears in the 6A division, going towards Division 2. The Eastwood Troopers taking on the Friendship Tigers. 2 years ago, this was a by-district matchup and was the Eastwood Troopers entered undefeated in district play. Only having 1 loss in the regular season, that 1 loss was against a powerful opponent, 2 years ago, that was South Lake Carroll. This year, it was St. John Bosco. However, deja vu doesn't repeat itself entirely in 2025 because Coach Julio Lopez has avenged his 87-50 by-district loss in 2023 by beating the Friendship Tigers in the by-district playoff round 45-30. Starting quarterback Kingston Jeffries for the Eastwood Troopers, who was thrown for 2,417 total passing yards and 32 total touchdowns when encompassing his passing statistics and rushing statistics, was out of this game. In fact, he was injured during week's practice. So, it's next man up mentality. In comes sophomore quarterback Bentley DeVries, who had only played in 4 games. 3 out of those 4 games, well, the sophomore only threw for less than 10 passing attempts. In fact, he threw only 11 attempts against the Montwood Rams. Despite only having less than 20 passing attempts on the season, DeVries came out punching. He had 3 total touchdowns against the Friendship Tigers. 1 of those was a passing touchdown. 2 of those were rushing touchdowns. Senior running back Nathaniel Chavira helped him out with 1 rushing touchdown of his own to open the scoring frenzy 7-0. And then sophomore Matthew Ramirez, his first year on varsity, he made it memorable. His first playoff game, 2 touchdowns. This game was close at halftime, 17-14. But then Eastwood goes on to outscore the Friendship Tigers 21-3 in the third quarter. It was 38-17 by the fourth quarter. There was 2 touchdowns scored by senior wide receiver Hayden Wilson to help keep the Tigers in it from 7-7 to 14-14. Senior quarterback Juan Ferris had 3 touchdown passes on the night, 2 of those coming in the first half. But what was costly for the Tigers were turnovers. Ferris throwing 2 interceptions in the third quarter, both of them leading to Eastwood Trooper touchdowns. The Friendship Tigers end their season on a 3-game losing streak, finishing 4-7 overall, 2-3 in their district. This comes after they won an undisputed district title last year and only lost by 1 score to the eventual state runner-up South Lake Carroll Dragons in the area championship. Meanwhile, for the Eastwood Troopers, after being 1 spot shy of going to the playoffs last year, they get another by-district championship under their belt. It's Coach Lopez's 4th by-district championship in his 11th season as Trooper head coach. It's his 3rd in the past 5 seasons. The Eastwood Troopers are going to face a familiar foe in the area championship round, Byron Nelson. Eastwood faced Byron Nelson back in 2022. They lost 35-28 against Byron Nelson, who then was ranked as a top 20 school in Texas. This year, the Bobcats are ranked 22nd in the state. The Troopers faced off against Byron Nelson tentatively at Lubbock Cooper High School. Let's keep it at 6A, but shifting back towards Division 1. The defending 6A champions Eastlake Falcons were able to creep their way into the playoffs after beating the 5th-seeded Coronado Thunderbirds, who attempted to make a late-season rally. However, Eastlake runs into a familiar foe, Permian, and they lose against the Panthers. Permian beats the Eastlake Falcons 59-7. Eastlake finishes their season with an even 500 record in regular season play, and after beating the Coronado Thunderbirds by a score of 55-44 last week for the 4th playoff spot, fall to Permian for the 2nd year in a row in by-district play. The last time this Eastlake Falcon team won a playoff game was all the way back on November 12th of 2021 against the San Angelo Bobcats. They then went on to lose 63-14 in the area championship against Byron Nelson. Meanwhile, for Permian, they only have 1 loss on their season. That came to Plano, except for the shocking loss, 38-0 in the by-district round. The Permian Panthers beat the Eastlake Falcons in week 2 of this season, 27-12. This season marks their first district championship since 2022. That year, notably, was the Pebble Hills Spartans' first by-district championship in their program's history. This time, Permian is able to get a district championship and a by-district championship. A combination you like to see. It's the Panthers' 3rd straight by-district title. They get set to face on Lake Ridge. Permian has not won an area championship since 2014. They look to get one against Lake Ridge next week. We'll be back with more playoff recaps. Stay here because you're watching the Postgame Pulse. The Franklin Cougars 2025 campaign has been defined by one word: power. If you want to get into specifics, Ernie Powers, a Triple Crown record holder in El Paso, Texas, holding the most rushing touchdowns in a season with 52, the most rushing yards in a game with 526, and the most rushing touchdowns in a game with 8 touchdowns. Both of those records came against the Eastlake Falcons. The Franklin Cougars were riding the Ernie Powers train into the by-district round against the Midland Legacy Rebels. Unfortunately for the Cougars, they fell once again in the by-district championship, losing to Midland 62-42. Midland beats Franklin in the by-district championship for the second year in a row. They beat them last season 56-14 at the home of the Cougars. To start the game, senior Nick Moore for the Legacy Midland Rebels had a 75-yard kickoff return touchdown to make it 7-0. That was the first play of the game. In fact, it was the opening kickoff. How does Franklin respond? They just punch it up the gut with Ernie Powers. Ernie Powers had 5 touchdowns in the by-district championship round against the Midland Legacy Rebels. The senior has 6 offers from Division I collegiate institutions. This game, with 5 rushing touchdowns, he was able to keep the game close because junior quarterback JP Reyes had 2 touchdown passes, which helped extend the Rebel lead to 21-14 in the second quarter, which was cut into by Ernie Powers 35-28 again in the second quarter with under a minute to play. Ernie Powers punches in a 38-yard rushing touchdown. And then in the third quarter, this game is tied for the first time since the first quarter at 35 apiece. We then trickle into the fourth quarter, where it's 49-42, the Cougars trailing by 7. In the final 5 minutes, however, the Midland Legacy Rebels were able to score 2 touchdowns, the latter of which was caused due to a Franklin fumble with under 5 minutes to go. Legacy gains possession of the ball, they eventually scoring their final touchdown, beating the Cougars 62-42. It's Midland's 9th straight by-district championship in a row. They have 3 area titles since that streak started to become alive, and it's Midland's 3rd playoff win in the past 4 seasons against the Franklin Cougars. Midland remains in the playoff race, and they get set to take on North Crowley, who is the 8th best team in Texas. They went 10-1 in overall play, 6-0 in district play. Meanwhile, one big question looms around the certain record-holding senior Ernie Powers. Where is he going to college? He has 6 Division I offers, one of them including the University of Texas at El Paso. If we use context clues, his brother, David Powers, went to Army when he was a senior graduating. Ernie Powers has an offer, but from the rival Navy. Those are just context clues. Leave it up for your own interpretation. Franklin falls against Midland Legacy. They finished their season 8-3, 5-1 in district play. Let's go towards 4A action. The Riverside Rangers taking on the Dumas Demons. The Riverside Rangers, after getting 2nd place in their district for the 2nd year in a row, losing only 1 game in district against the eventual district champion, this time being the Estrada Indians, not the Austin Panthers, lose their 2nd straight by-district championship, making head coach Daniel Chavez 0-2 in the playoffs. These 2 by-district championship losses come after Riverside's 3-year streak from 2021 to 2024 of consistently winning at least 1 playoff game. They lost against Dumas 83-35. It's the worst by-district championship defeat that Riverside has experienced since being defeated by Chapin 46-20 all the way back in 2006. I was less than 1 year old when that game occurred. For the Dumas Demons, they get a by-district championship. They led it 56-21 by the 3rd quarter, extended that lead 76-28, and they eventually started to put in the backups by the 4th quarter. Dumas are back-to-back by-district champions last year, beating the district champions from 4A1, the Austin Panthers, 56-21. They have a tough matchup coming up against Stevensville in the area championship. Stevensville won 11-0 in the regular season. They're number 18th in Texas. They last won an area title, Dumas did, on November 26th of 2021 against Fort Stockton. They beat them 31-6. They eventually went on to face a loss against Hershey in the Sweet 16 round. Hershey was able to advance all the way to the state semifinal. We keep it going with 4A action. The Austin Panthers in the playoffs for the 8th year in a row. But for the 7th year in a row, they suffer a defeat. This defeat coming against the Randall Raiders, the Panthers lose it 49-0. The Panthers' third place district standing came with a season that was 7-3, 6-2 in district play. They have an 8-year playoff streak going on, but it's the 7th straight year that the Panthers lose a playoff game. And to make things even worse, those 7 playoff losses have been decided by 2 scores or more. The last time Austin could call themselves a by-district champion was on November 15th of 2018. That win coming against Canotillo, 35-14. When we look at the Randall Raiders, they finished 8-2 in overall play, 4-1 in their district, and it is their 8th straight by-district championship. Within that time frame, they have 5 area championships, which included one last year, beating Andrews 42-39. This year, they're going to face Burnett, who finished 4-7 in overall play, 1-3 in district play, 4th in their district. But they upsetted Andrews 21-7, who was undefeated in their district, to advance to the area championship. Let's stay with 4A. The Urban Rockets blasted off into the playoffs, but unfortunately for them, the Rockets ran into the 47th best team in Texas, those being the West Plain Wolves. They lose this one, 85-0 against West Plain. West Plain finished the season 10-1 in overall play, 5-0 in their district. For the Urban Rockets, they were fighting for a playoff position last week. They earned a tiebreaker over Fabens in a win against Clint, which put them in that 4th seed. But in blasting off into the playoffs, they crash-landed into a pack of Wolves. It's their first playoff appearance since 2022, but in this decade alone, Urban already has 3 playoff losses. Meanwhile, West Plains remains undefeated in by-district championships in their school's history. But that history is rather recent, as West Plains was open in 2022. That year, they made it to the area championship. The following year, a quarterfinal appearance. And just last season, West Plains was in the state semifinal. They lost by only 1 score to the eventual state champion. So maybe this year, they finally break the barrier of finals. But for now, West Plain will face Lampsass, who is 9-2, 2-2 in district play. Lampsass had a 42-14 victory over Lakeview in the by-district championship. Let's go over to 5A action. The Americas Trailblazers hosting the Monterey Plainsmen. Originally, the Monterey Plainsmen weren't supposed to play against the Trailblazers. They were supposed to face the El Dorado Aztecs. But then, in the final week of Week 10 of the UIL football playoffs, Amarillo is found using an ineligible player in 6 games of their season. They're forced to forfeit those 6 games. They beat Tascosa in the final game of the season, and they earned themselves a 3-way tie for that final position in playoffs. They win a 3-way coin toss at a Valero in the middle of Texas and punch a ticket to play against the El Dorado Aztecs. So Monterey moves up 1 position, and they made the most out of their new standing, beating the Trailblazers 50-32, ending this season 6-4 in overall play, 4-2 in district play. The Monterey Plainsmen led the game early, 8-0 in the first quarter. They extended that 15-10 in the same quarter. But the Plainsmen had 5 overall turnovers in the first half alone, which led to a 29-15 deficit off the back of 2 passing touchdowns from sophomore quarterback Emiliano Gonzalez and 2 scoop-and-score touchdowns, one being scored by Maurice Edwards and the second one being scored by Cortez de la Fuente. Americas opened the matchup with an onside kick. It didn't work. They then decided to go for an onside kick when momentum was up. That one went through, and then they failed with their 3rd onside kick of the first half, going 1 for 3 on onside kicks. They themselves had turnover trouble. The first play offensively for them was a catch and fumble For the Americas Trailblazers, they had 3 total turnovers in the first half alone. But then the Monterey Plainsmen, when coming back from that deficit 29-15, their quarterback Jonah Reed gets his first passing touchdown of his varsity playoff career with the Plainsmen and cuts the deficit down to 7. Trailing 29-22, the Monterey Plainsmen come out firing away with scores, outscoring the Trailblazers 28-3 in the second half. Jonah Reed gets 4 touchdowns after throwing a key interception to the Trailblazers, which ultimately led to a touchdown. Meanwhile, for Americas, they were able to get a field goal on their opening drive, but that was it. Deuce Moore, rusher for the Monterey Plainsmen, got over 200 rushing yards and a hat trick on the night. He did more than a deuce, and he definitely did more for the Monterey Plainsmen. I'm going to think about my possible dad pun joke book that I may write in the future as we go into this commercial break. Keep it here. You're watching the Postgame Pulse on the El Paso Sports Network.
Match your thermostat every season with the best-looking thermostat in the market, the new Omega Air thermostat. Get in touch with us even faster with a single touch on our logo. Call us today to upgrade your T-Stat at 915-704-0234 or visit online at OmegaAirConditioningTX.com. Omega Air Conditioning, the call to end all your cooling and heating problems.
Originally, the Amarillo Sandies finished the season 8-2, 5-1 in district play. However, due to sanctions by the UIL, forcing the Sandies to forfeit 6 of their victories due to them using an ineligible player, Amarillo actually finishes 2-8 on the regular season, 2-4 in district play, only having valid wins against Caprock and Tascosa. Amarillo gets a 3-way tie for the last seed in District 5A2, and they win that coin toss, meaning that they get the district champion from 5A Division 1 District 1, the El Dorado Aztecs, whom, despite going 6-0 in district play, get an opponent that, if they wouldn't have forfeited games, would have been second place in their district. This game was a shootout, and we've got the highlights ready for you. The El Dorado Aztecs looking for their first by-district championship win since 2012. Junior quarterback Bryson Booth connects with Rashawn Bryant to tie this game early 7-7 with 10 minutes to go in the first quarter. However, Amarillo comes right back. A quick touchdown pass from Jet Lopez turns on the Jets, pass to Oliver Parsons to make it 14-7 early on in the first quarter. Coming back with a lead of 21-7. A deep pass towards Tate Blackwell. No one's going to catch him. Jet Lopez allows Tate Blackwell to make it to the end zone, extends the lead 28-7. Jet Lopez comes right back. Another deep pass and another wide open receiver. Once again connecting with Tate Blackwell. And all of a sudden, early in the second quarter, El Dorado's down by 28. So what do? They give it to their golden gopher commit for a golden result. Ryan Estrada able to cut the deficit to 21 points. His first rushing touchdown on the night. Jet Lopez looking for his 4th passing touchdown. He's got it, connecting with Austin Sluter. It's his 2nd touchdown of the first half. Bryson Booth, a toss to Ryan Estrada. He connects with Jadarius Sanders. Is this a familiar view? Well, that's possibly because Ryan Estrada already had 1 passing touchdown earlier on in the season. It's the 3rd of his varsity career. But Jet Lopez says, what you can do, I can do better. Connecting with Oliver Parsons to make it 49-21. Some may want to ride out the El Dorado Aztecs. Rashawn Bryant doesn't. A 78-yard kickoff return touchdown results in an Aztec TD. 49-28. Bryson Booth looking for his options. Connects with Jadarius Sanders. He has his 2nd touchdown of the day. Back to the third quarter. 49-35. El Dorado was only down by 7 points after Bryson Booth connects with Jadarius Sanders, getting the ball right back in the hands of Sanders, who has 3 touchdowns so far in the game, and he's going to break his fourth, an 88-yard kickoff return. This game is tied for the first time since the first quarter. 49-49. Aztecs back with possession. Handed off to their Big Ten commit, Ryan Estrada. Hungry for his first playoff victory. He breaks it to the 20. Estrada, no one's going to catch him. It's its second rushing touchdown of the game. Amarillo might have had him on lockdown all night. That wasn't an example of it. 6 passing touchdowns for Jet Lopez in the first half. The second half was all rush for the Amarillo Sandies. Jude Donovan finds the end zone. Taken in by Jadarius Sanders. Sanders breaks it. Sanders goes from over 80 yards out to get into the end zone. El Dorado retakes the lead 63-56 with 10 minutes left in the first quarter. Amarillo looking for a response. Jude Donovan, who didn't really participate much in the first half, gets his second touchdown of the second half. Tied at 63, Amarillo back with possession. They're going to hand it off to their star back. It's number 3 for number 5. A hat trick for Jude Donovan. El Dorado gets the ball right back, trailing by a touchdown a little over 5 minutes ago. He connects with his man, Rashawn Bryan, and Bryan is going to break it for his third receiving touchdown of the night. Tied at 70-70 apiece. The shootout continues. The ball off to Jude Donovan. Donovan looking for his fourth, and he's going to get it. Breaking away from the El Dorado defensive line. Amarillo leads it 76-70. However, a routine extra point from typically reliable kicker senior Stan Webb is missed. 76-70, 5 minutes and 29 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. Bryson Booth has possession of the ball. They're at the Amarillo 18-yard line. He fakes it, looks it, deep corner of the end zone. He connects with Rashawn Bryan in the fourth quarter. Under 2 minutes to go. No sweat from the junior quarterback who had 6 passing touchdowns this game. Sam Webb to redeem his extra point. A deep field goal is not even close. The El Dorado Aztecs beat the Sandies in a nail-biter 77-76 to claim their first playoff victory since 2012. The El Dorado Aztecs beat the Amarillo Sandies 77-76. It's their first by-district championship since beating Permian 34-33. There seems to be a concurring trend with the Aztecs always getting into nail-biters in the by-district playoff round. They snapped the Sandies' 6-game streak of winning by-district championships this year. Last year, Amarillo beat the Aztecs rather easily, 45-14. So, after the Aztecs started trailing them 41-14, there was a lot of doubt over whether or not the Aztecs could come back. But Ryan Estrada, he's the best rusher in his district. He has a Big Ten commitment to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. All that he was missing was a playoff victory. He got it against Amarillo. 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown. But Estrada, in context of all of the offensive possessions that occurred, was largely shut down by Amarillo. Instead, it was the junior quarterback Bryson Booth's time to shine. Because in his first season at the helm of the varsity team of the El Dorado Aztecs, he threw for 6 passing touchdowns. The last one, an 18-yard game-winning touchdown. We spoke a couple of weeks ago to the head coach of the El Dorado Aztecs. He told me that Bryson Booth was ready for the big moments, but they train him as quarterbacks pass. This proved that Bryson Booth will forever be remembered in the history books of the El Dorado Aztecs. It's the first time they won a by-district championship since 2012. I was 6 years old back then. El Dorado gets set to face Richland, who finished 8-3 in overall play, 6-2, third in their district. Richland is the 164th ranked team in Texas. El Dorado is ranked 76. They get to play on the big stage as they travel to Lubbock, Texas to play at Jones AT&T Stadium, the home of the Texas Red Raiders. Don't go anywhere. We've got more high school recaps coming up next. You're watching the Postgame Pulse.
It's time for the Coaches Corner, right here on EP Sports Network.
last year, for the first time in UIL football history, a team from El Paso, Texas, beat the Abilene Cooper Cougars. That was Del Valle High School in the Bi-District Championship of 2024. This season, the Chapin Huskies tried to do it again. They ultimately fell short by one score, losing to the Abilene Cooper Cougars 42-35. They were short of becoming the second ever El Paso team to beat Cooper in the UIL playoffs. Despite leading 24-7 at halftime, the Cooper Cougars rallied, outscoring the Chapin Huskies 28-3 in the second half. They took their first lead with under a minute to go in the third quarter, that being a 28-27 lead. They then extended it 35-27. Chapin came back to tie it with 6 minutes in the fourth quarter. Abilene scores a touchdown to make it 42-35 with 4 minutes remaining. So in comes UTEP commit Davion Singleton. Now at starting quarterback, he leads his Huskies down the field and gets them to the Cooper 11-yard line. 1 minute, 38 seconds remains in the fourth quarter, and Chapin is facing a 4th and 11. They go for it, and Chapin doesn't get it. Abilene Cooper avenges their loss to the Del Valle Conquistadores from last year. They get a district championship and a bi-district championship. It's their first bi-district title and their third in the past 4 seasons. They beat Chapin back in 2023, 42-27. Meanwhile, the Huskies still remain hungry for their first bi-district championship since 2021. This season, they finished off with a 7-3 record, 7-1 in district play. UTEP commit Davion Singleton had 4 total touchdowns, 2 of those on the ground, 2 of those through the air. Davion Singleton contributed largely to the Chapin Huskies getting a third of a share of the 5A2 district championship in El Paso, Texas. Their season ends in a thriller against Abilene Cooper. Moving on to further district action within 5A2, as the Hanks Knights made the playoffs for the first time since 2023. Similar to that season, however, the Hanks Knights have suffered a bi-district defeat, losing to the Paulo Duran Dons 56-7. This game between Paulo Duro and Hanks was close going into the second quarter. In fact, they were tied at 7-7, but Paulo Duro goes on to score 35 unanswered in the second quarter alone. It's their first bi-district championship win since 2014, because from 2014 up until 2023, they had a 7-season playoff drought. In the season of 22 to 2023, Canutillo beat them in the bi-district championship. They're now able to call themselves bi-district champions for the first time in over a decade. For the Hanks Knights, they last won a playoff game on November 14th of 2019. That was a score of 34-14 win against Austin. It's the first playoff game, this one, for junior quarterback Justin Morales, junior wide receiver Alex Robles, and junior running back Austin Duscher. Duscher is the best running back in his district. The stats say that. He's first in rushing yards in his district. He's number 1 running back on the team as well. Meanwhile, Alex Robles has the best stat out of any Hanks Knights receiver. For Justin Morales, he finishes the season with over 2,000 passing yards, his best out of both seasons that he started for the Hanks Knights. He's second in his district for that category. The Hanks Knights finished off the year 6-4, 5-3. Their class of 27 core is able to break through the playoff barrier. If you want to see more heartbreakers in 5A2, well, let's talk about a big one. The Del Valle Conquistadores season comes to a disappointing end after losing to Lubbock Cooper 45-42. This marks the final game for ASU commit Jake Fetties in a Conquistador uniform. After advancing to the area championship last year, Del Valle is unable to do it again, despite a strong performance from ASU commit Jake Fetty, who put his forks up in this one. As Jake Fetty had 174 passing yards for 3 touchdowns. Rushing yards, 223. 3 touchdowns as well. That's 2 hat tricks for the senior quarterback. It wasn't enough, however. Del Valle jumped out to a 14-3 lead in the first quarter. However, senior quarterback Ryan Rodriguez threw for 279 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. That helped Lubbock Cooper outscore the Del Valle Conquistadores in the second quarter, leading to a lead of 24-21, winning Cooper. In the third quarter, the lead ends at 31-28. Both of these teams only scoring 1 touchdown in the third, but then Lubbock Cooper enters the fourth by scoring a touchdown. getting them a 10-point lead over the Del Valle Conquistadores, in large part due to their running back Kamaye Johnson Jr., who had 103 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Down by 2 scores, the Del Valle Conquistadores try to come back into this game with Jake Fetty, who, when leading the drive, gets a 73-yard rushing touchdown and gives the Conquistadores hope, trailing only 45-42. Unfortunately, that was the final time Jake Fetty had possession of the ball. A 73-yard rushing touchdown is how Jake Fetty ends his legendary high school career in his legendary senior season, in which saw him put 2,737 passing yards on the board, 1,105 rush yards. Jake Fetty goes on to Arizona State University to continue his football career. Lubbock Cooper remains in the UIL playoffs. It's their 13th straight by-district championship, and those 13 by-district championships came through 5A Division I action, 5A Division II action, and even 3A play. They get set to take on Walnut Grove next week. Walnut Grove finished the season 11-0, 8-0 in district play. They're ranked 36 in the state of Texas. Last year, Lubbock Cooper fell to Walnut Grove 34-28 in the area round. There's a team from this district that did achieve playoff glory. That team were the Andres Eagles, who flew into the area championship, beating Wichita Falls Memorial 28-14 last night. The Andres Eagles got a third of a share of the 5A2 district championship in El Paso, Texas. Out of those 3 teams, the Andres Eagles are the only ones who remain alive. It's the first time since 2021 that the Eagles claim a by-district championship, that prior win coming to crosstown rival Isleta Indians. It was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter, and junior quarterback Jamari Milton was missing his leading rusher, junior Carmelo Jones, and his star-studded sophomore receiver, Avon Clayton, was limited due to a pesky injury. It didn't matter, as he threw for 2 touchdown passes, one to make it 14-0, a 5-yard short pass to senior Vincent Gonzalez, and on 4th down with 6 minutes and 44 seconds to go in the 4th quarter, Jamari Milton, craving his first playoff victory as a varsity quarterback, completes it to senior Jordan Owens to put this game on ice 28-14. Andres led 21-0 in the 3rd quarter with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. Senior quarterback out of Wichita Falls, Joe Castle, ended the night with 2 touchdown passes. Andres now looks forward to an area meeting with Melissa next week. Melissa finishes the season 8-2 in overall play, 7-1 in their district. They got 2nd place. Melissa, 3 years ago, was able to get to the Sweet 16. Andres, when it comes to playoff history, isn't really familiar with Melissa. They haven't faced them in the past 20 seasons, and Andres has not won an area championship in the past 20 years. They look to get their first next week. Moving alongside towards the Isleta Indians, who had a historic season, claiming their first outright district championship since 1984. But they suffered their first loss of the 2025 season against the Canyon Eagles, being blown out of the water 66-13. Junior quarterback Rodrigo Martinez ends his junior year campaign with 2,260 passing yards, 32 passing touchdowns, drastic improvements from his first year on varsity as a sophomore starter. But for the Canyon Eagles, they get their 2nd straight by-district title in the past 3 seasons. They didn't have any playoffs last year after claiming an undisputed district championship in 2023. They get set to face off against Brownwood in the area championship. Brownwood beat Big Spring 56-0 in the by-district round, both of these teams coming off with dominant victories. Meanwhile, for the Indians, they had their best season since 1984. Unfortunately for Isleta, they haven't won a playoff game in over 20 years. Moving alongside to 5A Division I. The Bel Air Highlanders went 0-6 in district play this year, 2-8 in overall play. Maybe they could pull off the upset of the year. Unfortunately for El Paso, that didn't come to fruition, as the Abilene Eagles claimed their 4th straight by-district championship in 5A Division I, beating the Bel Air Highlanders 84-25. In their first year, the Abilene Eagles made the Sweet 16 in 5A Division I. That was in 2022. There was a quarterfinal appearance from the Eagles in 2023, but last season, they were eliminated in the area championship. But when compared to the Bel Air Highlanders, the resume is superior, As for the Bel Air Highlanders, in 5A Division I action over the past 2 years, they haven't won a game in district. That comes after their first back-to-back winning seasons from 2022 to 2023, the first time that Bel Air achieves that since 2003 and 2004. Bel Air has 2 straight playoff appearances since UIL realignment, 4 straight going back to 2022. They're 0-4 in those games. Abilene gets set to take on Ryan next week. Ryan is 10-1 in overall play, 7-1 in their district. They finished second. Looking at Parkland versus Tascosa. The Parkland Matadors finished 3-8 on their season, 2-4 in district play. For Tascosa, a 7-4 overall season in their district. They ended off 4-2. Originally, this team was supposed to be the 3rd seed in their district. As for reasons already explained, Tascosa gets 2nd place in their district. So they get to host the Matadors, who are currently on a 10-year playoff streak. But the last time Parkland won a bi-district title was back in 2021. They don't stop Tascosa's 8 straight bi-district championship streak this time around, as they fall to them 84-13. From 2016 to 2021, the Parkland Matadors won 6 straight bi-district championships, but they haven't won one since that streak came to fruition. Meanwhile, for Tascosa, they're coming off a season where they made the 5A Division I Sweet 16. They hope to do it again and go even further. They face Aledo next week, who's 11-0. It'll be a tough matchup. Aledo is the 8th best team in Texas. According to the rankings, they earned an 80-12 victory over Saginaw. However, going forward for Tascosa isn't anything strange. They made it to the quarterfinal back in 2019 in 6A Division II semifinals 1 year prior in the exact same division. We'll hop to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We keep breaking down the postseason on the Postgame Polls. It might only be the first week of playoff action in UIL football, but El Paso can already proudly proclaim that they have a state champion on their hands. A huge shout out goes to the El Paso Leadership Academy, who has claimed the state championship of the Texas Christian Athletic League. This comes after a year where they went 7-2 and had a 6-game win streak. They beat Crayson Christian Academy 19-15 in the game prior. They claim now a state championship in the Texas Christian Athletic League, that final being played in San Antonio. Congratulations to the El Paso Leadership Academy, leading the way for football state champions down in El Paso, Texas. High school is out of the way, at least for today. College, it's what's on now on Saturday. As today, UTEP Minor football and basketball are back in action. You can keep up with all minor sports with Puro Miners Bro, hosted by Mondo Medina and Chris Gomez. The UTEP men's basketball team currently stands at 2-1 in overall play. Their previous game was their first loss against Loyola Marymount University, losing to them 71-58 on Veterans Day. Today, the Miners have another tough task, facing an undefeated team in Utah State who stands at 3-0. This is a sneak peek of what's to come when the Miners enter Mountain West Conference play next season. That game happens today at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. Meanwhile, for the UTEP women's basketball team, they're on a little bit of a rest after starting 3-0 on the season, beating Nichols, Western New Mexico, and Prairie View. All of those wins were claimed by 14 points or more. They faced the University of Tennessee Martin back at the Don Haskins Center on November 22nd. That game occurring at 7 p.m., or rather say, right after the Battle of the I-10. So make sure to pack out both the Sun Bowl and the Don Haskins Center. Meanwhile, UTEP football, the news isn't so positive. For the fourth straight season in a row, UTEP is eliminated from bowl contention, finishing the season 2-7, 1-4 in conference play. They look to have a strong end to their 2025 campaign, but they have to go against the Missouri State team that is currently 6-3 and 4-1 in conference play. To make matters even more jarring for the UTEP Miners, Mo State is playing angry. That's because since this is the first year that Mo State is in the FBS, they're technically in a transitional period from the FCS to the FBS, meaning that despite having 6 wins, they're not eligible for bowl games in accordance with NCAA rules. Mo State is contesting that through a petition, which means a win against UTEP could possibly help their cause. Once again, you can keep up with all Miner action on the El Paso Sports Network by tuning in to Puro Miners Bro with your hosts, Manu Medina and Chris Gomez. As my paper flails, we flail through college football, talking about New Mexico State University. Christian Molina has had a pretty busy weekend. Yesterday, he was on the call with Americas versus Monterrey on the NFHS network, and he gets to host the bus stop today, covering all NMSU action. NMSU facing number 23 nationally ranked the Tennessee Volunteers. 2 years ago, a notorious win against Power 4 opponent Auburn, an SEC school. But NMSU has work to do if they hope to repeat magic against the Volunteers. They're 3-6, 10th in CUSA. They're 10th in offense in the conference, just one position below UTEP. They're one position above UTEP when it comes to defense. One of the highlights for this UTEP Miner team, they're currently 5th in defensive stats. They get set to take on Tennessee this Saturday and then UTEP next Saturday. It's a good warm-up, you can argue, for the UTEP Miners going up against the Tennessee Volunteers, that being New Mexico State University. You can keep up with all NMSU action by tuning in to The Bus Stop with host Christian Molinar. Before we end off, just a reminder, Texas high school basketball is soon to tip off. You can keep up with all games on the El Paso Sports Network, whether that be watching them through our broadcasts or just reading the occasional article. EP Sportsnet's Hoops is finally back to a screen near you. And finally, high school wrestling is soon to be underway. The El Paso Sports Network started to break barriers by broadcasting wrestling tournaments throughout El Paso. That's soon to come back. Just a nice reminder for those who love keeping up with everything El Paso sports. A huge thank you to my producer, Andres Ace Acosta, for waking up early with me on this 7th edition of the Postgame Pulse. And a huge thank you to you, our audience, for supporting us throughout this entire football season. It has been a true pleasure and honor to start this program on the El Paso Sports Network and to be able to call myself host. It has been the pleasure of a lifetime to bring you these stories and these stats from El Paso teams that deserve our attention and our love and care. A huge shout out to every El Paso football team, whether you won a playoff game, you lost it, or you didn't even make it. Your hard work doesn't go unnoticed. In fact, it's celebrated. We thank you for working tirelessly and work hard every single week to properly represent this city. Because without these amazing teams and without these amazing coaches, there is no El Paso Sports Network. 915, thank you for all your support. And remember this, it's El Paso versus everybody. So to the 3 teams who are advancing to the area championships, a very good luck to you. And if my student bias could come out for just a little bit, go Troop. That does it for the Postgame Pulse and football season. We'll be back with basketball coverage really soon, but for now, for my producer, Andres Ace Acosta, I'm Sebastian Perez-Navarro, and for this morning, we're over and out.
Match your thermostat every season with the best-looking thermostat in the market, the new Omega Air thermostat. Get in touch with us even faster with a single touch on our logo. Call us today to upgrade your T-Stat at 915-704-0234 or visit online at OmegaAirConditioningTX.com. Omega Air Conditioning, the call to end all your cooling and heating problems.